Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone is doing well. Very good. Well, we are so happy to be here today. We have expert Emmanuel Green and his associate Liz Pritchard. They'll say hi in just a minute with a webinar on developing your green shoes marketing. You might be wondering, what does that even mean? Your green shoes strategy, and they will share with you all of that and what does that mean and how do you stand out. So I wanted to remind everyone that after attending today's webinar, if anyone is interested in one-on-one support from this amazing team to create two social media accounts, so for example, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever you're interested in. I guess it's not Twitter anymore. And uh, you would like support. Maybe you have one, but you really don't know how to use it that well and you want to revamp it, or you just want to create an account. Please reach out to us and we'll make sure that you're connected to Liz and Emmanuel. And they can also help you create content for your social media accounts. That way you can drive traffic over to your Facebook account, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever you're looking at. So that's why we have these great folks here today. So again, this is part one of a two-series webinar. The next one will be next week, same time, Tuesday at 10 a.m., and it will be part two. And this great team has put together a workbook for you, great information, and then of course the one-on-one right after. So feel free to ask any questions you might have. So I will pass it over to the expert. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
All right. Thank you, Gabriela. Thanks, everybody. Welcome. Buenos dias. Getting ready for the morning, getting ready for a great day. So yeah, today's going to be, we're trying to make it a little more interactive as well, if we can. But either way, the idea today is just to showcase the green shoe strategy, which is a marketing approach, because every business obviously needs a marketing approach and a marketing strategy before you start thinking about your social media, before you start thinking about posting. It's big to understand what your brand message is and what your brand story is. So what we're here to do today is kind of help you develop that concept based off of something I used and that's been working well for me. So I just turned that into a marketing strategy that we can all kind of understand, and then take you through some steps on how to create and understand your brand identity. So first and foremost, I want to introduce Liz Pritchard, who's on the call as well. She is my social media expert. So she's here on the call as well. So she'll be working with everyone who wants to get involved with us, working on the social media and stuff like that. But ultimately, just saying hello, getting things going. So say hello, Liz.
Yeah, hi, it's great to be here. Like Manuel said, I'm in charge of social media for everything. This is my main expertise: creating content, marketing, pushing brands out there. So if anybody needs any assistance after this webinar, it'd be really appreciated if you got in contact with us.
All right, thank you, Liz. And that'll be through MBDA. So, but yeah, I'm gonna get ready now to share my screen so we can start this. And just give me a moment. All right, and let me minimize this. And just let me know if you can see this screen just before I start presenting, because it's taking me away from it now.
I can see it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, everyone. So we're going to start today, part one, the Green Shoes Method. It's a marketing strategy to keep your business top of mind in a crowded market. And the idea is just to showcase and help you understand how to create a brand identity and how to make your brand stand out. Because, especially in today's marketplace with so many things going on, so many things vying for our attention, it's hard to find a way to make your brand stand out amongst everyone else, or at least get you that attention, right? So that's what everyone's vying for. So the idea here is to showcase the Green Shoes Method, and Green Vision X obviously is my company, and you'll notice everything is green, and that's on purpose. My last name is Green, and Green Vision X is our marketing consulting firm. We focus mainly on marketing consulting, product strategy, sales strategy, obviously marketing strategy, and everything that falls into that: AI, social media, digital media. So that's where this is coming from. But as on the front end, I am also in commercials. So I'm a SAG eligible, which is Screen Actors Guild eligible commercial actor and lifestyle model. So I've been in a bunch of different commercials from Verizon, Hobby Lobby, SeatGeek. I've done a bunch of stuff over the past 7 years. So I've developed a lot of different understandings from being on the commercial side and working with a lot of these big brands, and then obviously rolling into becoming a marketing consulting firm, taking some of that and understanding my background in the entertainment industry has also helped me build out the green shoes method. So that being said, let's start off with the agenda for today. So first off, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the green shoe strategy, what that means, what that is, an introduction, and then we'll go into developing your green shoes method, which after this webinar, you should be receiving a workbook. And the idea is to utilize that workbook to build your marketing strategy. And so this webinar is gonna help you do that. All right, so starting off, so what is the green shoe story? What's this whole green marketing concept, what have you? So, like I said, my background is in the entertainment industry, but I'm originally from Deming, New Mexico. That's down south, and so my first initial dream was to basically run to the Olympics. I was a sprinter and wanted to go to the Olympics and be like Usain Bolt, who's the fastest guy in the world, right? But unfortunately, I injured myself, so that wasn't in the cards for me. And so the next step for me was to find a different avenue. So I chose the entertainment industry, and I started basically making music. And I ended up getting signed at 17 out of Little Deming, New Mexico, because I understood how to send my demos out. So I got involved with music, got signed at a young age. And one of the biggest things, and when I went into college for business administration and finance, because I wanted to go to college to learn about money, that was pretty much it. I didn't want to go get a job. I just wanted to learn about money. But the idea was I ended up going to a big internship. I ended up landing a big internship at Capitol Records, which was one of the largest record labels in the entire world. And for those who don't know Capitol Records, you may not know them just by the name itself, but they have a big iconic building in LA. It's the big circular building. You've seen it in a bunch of movies. The Beatles have been on, they have huge bands, Katy Perry. I mean, there's just so many artists that you know of, that you've heard of, that are part of this label. So this is a really, really big label. And so I ended up getting my internship there. And prior to getting my internship, I had a mentor at the time, and I was basically nervous, right, going into this internship and trying to figure out, because there was about a pool of over 40 interns, and I was trying to figure out how can I stand out in this pool of over 40 people. So my mentor at the time, he was a caddy at a very large golf course in Denver, where he caddied for a bunch of high-profile CEOs. And so he asked them to give me some advice about what to do. And they basically told him to tell me, hey, have this kid wear a fancy watch, a tie, just something that makes him, unique and stand out. So obviously my last name being Green, I used to wear a lot of green. So I ended up choosing, as you see on this left-hand side, these lime green Stacy Adams dress shoes. And so I chose those green shoes, and I would wear those to work every single day. And I would do a bunch of different things, like greeting my coworkers all by name, opening doors, just doing a whole bunch of different things that we're going to go through. I don't want to spend too much time on that right now, because we're going to go through it in the workshop. But the idea was I wore these green shoes on top of doing all these different things to make myself stand out from the rest, right? And basically what you see in the middle here is the last day as an intern, I come into Capitol Records and my entire floor is dressed in green. And they did this specifically for me. So, and the HR manager at the time, she'd worked there for 20 plus years, and she was telling me she's never seen them do that for anybody, let alone an intern. So just to let you know, like, obviously it wasn't just the green shoes. They wouldn't do that if I just walked around in green shoes all day. That's not the purpose, right? There's a lot more to it, but understand that human connection that I created inspired these people to do this for me as an intern. Now, granted, I didn't work there, right? I was an intern, and they took the time. Everybody came in and they took this picture, and they made my last day very special. And to this day, I still remember that. So what I'm trying to implement and showcase here is the understanding that at the end of the day, marketing is still people. You still have to reach out and touch people, and you still have to create that human connection. And with everything and all the technology that's going on today, what the green shoes approach reminds us of is that we still have to learn and understand we have to connect with people first, because people are, no matter if you're offering a product or service, people are your end result, right? So you have to understand how to connect with people. So this is just showcasing and understanding how this works. And so it's proof. I let people know like this really did happen. They really did do this. And I really did intern at Capitol Records. So that's what all this is showcasing. But just so have an understanding, this is not something they've done for everybody, for anybody up to that point. And I don't know if they did for anybody after this. So it's kind of unique and special for me. So that's what I want to showcase and understand. So that's the backstory of the green shoes. And I still do it today. They call me the man in the green shoes. From that point on, Hollywood dubbed me the man in the green shoes. So been wearing green shoes ever since. So all my shoes are all variations of green. So if you ever see me out and about, look it down and you always see me in some type of green shoes, no matter what. Unless I'm on set and I have to wear like a different color, but me walking around in general, I'm in green shoes all day, every day. So that's kind of the idea where the green shoes story came from and how and why I always wear green shoes. So speaking of that, so now we're going to break down why breaking down the whole ideology of the green shoes, and then how it was used in the marketing approach, and then how do you create your own green shoes. So why green shoes, right? That's the question. Well, green shoes, obviously, because my last name was Green, it resonated the best with me. It's one of my favorite colors, and it was just easy for me to implement something like that, as opposed to wearing a crazy tie or a watch or something like that that just didn't fit me all that well. Green shoes was easiest for me, and it made me instantly recognizable because the lime green, the color was very specific. So when I went and researched green shoes, I was looking for a very bright green shoe. And obviously, because I was at a professional internship, I wanted a dress shoe. So the lime green Stacy Adams is what basically stood out to me. So I chose these shoes very specifically for that purpose. And obviously at the time I didn't understand what I was doing, but obviously I know now, so I'm able to speak about it and showcase that. But just understand there was a whole process to even selecting the green shoes and why I chose the green shoes. So green shoes was my element, and that was the way how I chose to make myself stand out, right? So one of the first things I did, aside from just wearing the green shoes, because like I said, they wouldn't have done that for me if all I did was wear green shoes. So one of the biggest things I was also told was to remember everybody's names. And it didn't matter if they were a janitor or a high-level executive, just to remember everybody's name. And I remember the conscious effort I made to do that, to remember everyone's names from the beginning to the end. So I remember the janitor's name, I remember the secretary, the receptionist. Imagine, I mean, I believe from walking in all the way up to my floor and where I was going, I probably interacted with at least 30 or 40 people every single day. And I remembered every person's name. So that was just very conscious. It was difficult at first, believe me. I had to write everything down and all that, but after it became second nature. And I remember people were telling me, like the janitors, like, oh, you don't have to. I would ask what their name was, and they'd be like, oh, you don't need to remember my name. I'm not that important. I said, no, you're somebody. I'd see you every day. I want to know your name. And so they gave me their name, and I would start, saying their names. The security guards, same thing. People like, oh, you don't need to remember my name. And I was like, no, it's fine. What's your name? And by the fourth day, these people were basically like security guards are opening doors for me, calling me Mr. Green. I mean, just doing this whole thing because I made them feel valued, right? Which is probably something that a lot of people there probably weren't doing. So I was doing this as an intern, just opening, and so people quite literally opened doors for me, took me into exclusive areas. So what this picture is at the very, very top of Capitol Records. A lot of people don't get to go up here. It's really meant for employees and certain people that get to go all the way up to the top. And so they took me up to the top and took this picture. So it was kind of cool because as an intern, you definitely don't get to go up to the top of Capitol Records. So the fact that they took me up there just let you know that whole process really started working out for me because of the intentional effort I put in to remember everybody's names, just treating everybody with respect, that whole concept. So this picture is just kind of showcasing what can happen when you make others feel valued. So they did this for me, and this is a memory I'll always have, being able to stand at the top of Capitol Records, and not a lot of people been able to do that. And I don't even know if they let people up there now, but ultimately that was kind of cool for me to be able to do that simply because I remember people's names. And the other strategy, which is a little harder for most, I call it the elevator button or bold exploration. But the idea behind this one was basically at Capitol Records, you work there's the big building, which is the big circular building, and then behind it is a smaller building, which is about 3 or 4 levels, and that's where like the big wigs sit. That's where they, that's where everyone who runs Capitol Records is at. And so basically, by I think it was my 4th or 5th day there, I went into the elevator and I just pressed the third floor button, and I went up to the executive floor level. Now, a lot of people who work there have never been to the executive floor level, right? They just go up to the floor and go do what they got to do. Me as an intern, I figured what was the worst that could happen. So I went up to the executive floor and I just started walking around, started walking into executives' offices and introducing myself. And I figured they're either going to kick me out or let me stay. And not one of them kicked me out. They were just so surprised that this little intern was walking around, and obviously the green shoes caught their attention. But then I'm walking into their and just sitting down and introducing myself, and nobody ever did that. So it was kind of cool. So basically, that helped them remember who I was. And so I was basically smoozing with the executives of Capitol Records already by my 4th or 5th day at Capitol Records, simply because I pressed the elevator button. So, being a little more bold, understanding that sometimes you have to step outside of the norm. And a lot of people who worked there for years had never met any of the executives because no one went to the executive floor. They were just kind of, either intimidated, scared, whatever. But for me, it just didn't matter. I figured, what are they going to do? Fire me? I'm an intern. So it didn't really register to me. So I didn't have that fear that maybe most did have of the executive level or executive floor. So I pressed that elevator button and it changed my life because I was able to meet a lot of the different movers and shakers at Capitol Records. So, and you'll see this picture here is just me standing by a cutout of the Beatles. Cause like I said, the Beatles were obviously a huge band, Capitol Records. So that was kind of cool, but I don't have any pictures of the main executives, but so I wasn't able to showcase that. But that was something I did do, that made my experience there even better, and why people started remembering me. And then that last day as well, that wasn't in that picture that I showed, was some of the executives. They weren't even there, during my last day, but they took the time to send me a text message and with a picture in a green shirt wherever they were at. I remember one was on vacation in Scotland, and he sent me one in front of a castle in a green shirt. So just know that I was even able to affect the executive floor level because I went up there, pressed that button, and started talking to people. So sometimes we have to understand, like with our brands and with our businesses, it's okay to be a little bold, to explore, to do something different outside the norm. You don't have to go crazy with it, but at the same time, you do have to have that exploration idea and that elevator button, and not be afraid to take a chance to get your brand and name out there. And then the last part of that is just the engaging connections, right? Making that last impression. So my very last thing I did was I went and got greeting cards for everybody on my floor, and I signed them. I gave everybody on my floor a greeting card, or thank you card, basically, and just thanked them for, helping with my experience there. So that was the last bit that I did. And that final gesture basically just solidified who I was and presence in their memories. And so they did this for me because I made them feel important, and I took that extra step, right? So this is some of my managers and executives here on the lawn in the courtyard at Capitol Records, just having some fun on my last day. They gave me a green lei and all that. So the idea is just showcasing like all this stuff that I did that made these people who probably just saw me as an intern when I first walked in there to the last day really did all this for me. And I didn't even work there, right? I was an intern. So, and you may ask, well, did you end up getting a job there? What happened? Unfortunately, Capitol Records was going through a lot of restructuring and at that time, and they were bought out by a larger label who then basically kind of, how that goes when someone buys something, they just kind of restructure. And so a lot of them were let go, and a lot of people I met just had to go separate ways and do other things. But ultimately, so it didn't work out for me to work at Capitol Records, but the memories and what I created there, and I still talk to a lot of these people, was really what happened. And so just that whole idea of the green shoes sparked this whole thing. And with marketing, the biggest thing is you want to stand out and you want to leave a lasting impression, regardless of what you're doing, whether your product, your service. You want people to remember you, and you want to be top of mind, right? That's everyone's goal. So I was able to accomplish this at a very young age, at a very large corporation, that I didn't even understand what I was doing, right? So now I can kind of break it down, and now I can break these down into steps for everyone to understand what I was actually doing now that I understand what I was actually doing. So now that's more of the breaking down little by little of what I did, some of the tactics I did. Now we're going to take that and move into actually how to make that part of your business and how to create a green shoe strategy per se for your business, right? So first off, I always like to start off by helping people understand their business as a person. So think of your business as a living, breathing entity, because it is, right? It has its own social security number. It has, TIN, EIN, all that good stuff. So thinking of your business as a person, what are some of the main elements that your business needs to survive? Well, first off, thinking of your brain is your human resources, right? You need people behind your business, moving, developing ideas, creating stuff. You need people, right? So you need people power. So human resources is the brain of your business. Without people, you really brain dead. You don't have any ideas. You can't really reach out and touch anything. So at the end of the day, human resources is the brain of your business. So thinking of it in that fashion. Second, what's the next thing? Marketing. So marketing are your hands, right? This is how you reach out and touch people. Without marketing, you can't touch your customers. You can't get out there and really reach your target market. So thinking of marketing as your arms and your hands is one way to think about it. So without marketing, a lot of people go, "Oh, I don't need marketing." Well, not to say you couldn't live without your arms, but it's kind of hard, right? Without your arms, you're limiting yourself. So when I talk to businesses and they go, "Oh, marketing is, it's at the bottom of their list." Well, it's hard to make them understand that when you cut out marketing or you don't have anything going on in marketing, you're literally cutting out your arms. You don't have a way to reach and touch your customers or reach your target market. So if you think about it in that fashion, when you don't do marketing, you don't have a marketing strategy, or you just don't do it at all, you literally cutting out a big priority as a human being. Your business as a human doesn't have arms. It can't reach and touch anything. So just think about it in that fashion, right? Next is sales. So this is always an interesting conversation because a lot of people hate sales, but sales is how your business moves. It's how it gets up and walks around. It can't go anywhere if you're not selling anything, right? You're just kind of stagnant, right? So thinking of sales as your legs is a different approach, but it just hopefully helps you understand that when you aren't selling, or you don't have a sales team, or you're not creating anything to sell, whether it's a product or service, your business can't go anywhere. It's just going to stand in one place, right? It can't move. So sales or your legs. And last but not least, and the most important part of your business as a human is finance. Finance is your heart. Without money, without finance, your business is dead, right? It can't do anything. Without money, none of this stuff matters. And all this stuff helps you create the money, create the finances you need, but understand that is the lifeblood of every business is financing, right? Without money, you're dead. You don't have a pulse. So that's the best way I can break down the different parts of a business as a human, as opposed to, and some of you may or may not have seen this or heard this before, but this is the best way to think about your business. And when you think about it as a human and think about these four major aspects, then when you're thinking about your marketing strategy, thinking about your business, and you're thinking about cutting this or doing that or whatever, you have to understand what are you really doing to your business as a person. Okay, so that's basically understanding and breaking down your business as a person. That's what you first have to understand. Now, the second thing is there's 6 basic human needs, and this is coming from Tony Robbins, and this is actually a question in the workbook which you will receive, where we're trying to get you to think about your business as far as these 6 human needs, which I'm going to showcase. And these 6 human needs are basically defined as what every human being has. These 6 basic human needs. Everybody on earth basically has these 6 basic human needs. And I'm breaking it down in terms of business as opposed to you as a person. So once again, we're still thinking about your business, thinking your business as a person. And now we're going to break down those 6 basic human needs as your business though. So first human need is certainty. So what is your core competencies? That's when it comes to certainty, that's something that you know your business can deliver, right? What are your core competencies? What are you good at? That's something you know you can deliver. Rain doesn't matter, sunshine, like marketing. I know I can deliver that. I know I'm good at that. I know I could talk to people about marketing, help them understand that. That's my certainty, right? Uncertainty. So where does your business seek change or variety? So it's kind of interesting that humans, we have the need for certainty, and then we also have the need for uncertainty, which is basically that's when people get bored, right? When everything is, it's just so everything's the same all the time, all the time. You want to change something. That's what that uncertainty is where does your business seek change, where you're not that comfortable with it. You don't understand, you maybe I can do this, maybe I can't, but you want to explore. So that uncertainty is the part of your business where you feel like, okay, maybe we can do that. I think if we put it together, but you have to think about this stuff because this could be those uncertainty areas are the areas that you can also explore as you grow, right? But the certainty is your core competency. That's where you want to stick in the beginning because you know that's what you're good at. Uncertainty is when you start to diversify, you're starting to grow, you're starting to get into different things, different fields. That's your uncertainty. Now, significance, obviously, every business seeks significance. You want to stand out, right? What sets your company apart? The Apples, the Amazons of the world, everyone wants to be significant enough that, if you say Apple, anywhere in the world, most people are going to know what you're talking about. Same with Amazon. So that significance factor is a big thing, and it's a real human need. We seek significance as well as human beings. So as a business, your business also seeks significance. You want people to recognize you, people to recognize your business, whatever it is, whatever you're doing. So significance is a big part of that as well. So understanding this as a business owner and understanding this as a business need, you want to feel significant. You want your business to be significant. Next thing is connection. So how does your business engage with employees, customers, and partners? So connection, and I think now is really important in today's day and age with everybody being so-called woke, right? There's a lot of different things now that's going on where people are no longer willing to stay at a company if they don't feel connected to it. They don't feel like they're doing things morally right. There's a whole lot of different things that come with being connected. So you have to start thinking about your business in that fashion too, is how are you connecting with your employees, your customers? And you saw from my previous examples, how was I connecting with my coworkers while I was remembering their names, right? I was going around greeting everybody. I gave them thank you cards. That was my connection, right? I was connecting with people and making them feel important, making them feel appreciated. So that's the same concept when you think about your business. You have to think about how are you connecting with anybody that you're doing business with. It doesn't matter, right? Whether it's your employees, whether it's your mom, whether it does, whoever's working with your business inside and out, how are you connecting with them and how are you making them feel important? So you have to kind of break that down as well. And the next thing is growth. So obviously growth is very important for any business because no one wants to be stagnant, right? You want to feel that you're growing and that you're evolving. So how does your business evolve and learn from the market? And obviously in the terms of business, growth means understanding what's going on in your industry, understanding the trends, understanding how to take advantage of the growth, right? So, and that's the only way your business can grow is to understand and evolve within the market. So like right now, perfect example, AI is everywhere now, right? Maybe a couple of years ago, it was just kind of in the conversation. Now it's literally taking over jobs. But you have to understand now, how can you utilize that in your business to grow your business? Because it's not going to go anywhere. So you either kind of run away from it, you shy away from it, like, oh, I don't want to touch that, scary, or you kind of grow with it, right? And you learn how to utilize it for the growth of your business. And that also could be an uncertainty, right? AI is a lot of uncertainty for a lot of businesses. They don't know how to utilize it, but it's still something, it's a need for your business. It's something that you still have to explore because it's an area that you may not be comfortable with yet. But if you don't understand it and utilize it now, you're going to get left behind by what it does, right? In the future, to businesses, to trends. So all this stuff is important. So that's why breaking down your needs as a business is just as important as breaking down your needs as a person, your personal needs, right? Because all this will help you grow as far as human development, personal development. This is now business development, same concept, right? So, and then the last need is contribution. And that's just basically how your business gives back to your community and your industry. And obviously, a lot of times that's charity, that's whatever you're doing to give back to the community that is supporting you. That's very important as well as a business. So these 6 basic human needs are just as significant or as important when it comes to business as well. I'm just basically flipping them into business. And if you think about these 6 human needs for your business, it's going to help you in the same concept, because as human beings, we all seek these 6 basic needs in some way, shape, or form. So in a business, because your business is connection, it is still people, regardless of what you're selling. And it may not be directly to people. You may be a B2B, you may be a B2C, but at the same time, people are the end result of whatever you're selling. So if you understand the basic needs of human beings and people, and you flip that into your business, that's going to help you create your marketing strategy for one, but it's also going to help you understand what your brand story is and what your method is for going out there and approaching the market with all this different stuff. Because I guarantee you, not a lot of businesses are breaking down their business into these 6 human needs. They're just kind of focusing on one thing and doing this and doing. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. There's a lot of things that could work, but at the end of the day, this is just a different approach that could help you start developing your business and your marketing strategy. So that's what that is. So we're going to move on now into the meat and potatoes of actual developing your green shoes method. And and I was expecting that you'd have the workbook, but since you guys don't, so the idea here is just maybe even to think about it, whether you're just listening in, whatever. But the first thing to do, obviously, is defining your brand's commitment, identifying your quote unquote green shoes, right? So a symbol that embodies your business. Now, for me, obviously, green shoes resonated with me because it was my last name. I like green. I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons why green shoes just made sense for me. So using that same idea and that same approach, you have to think about what is the green shoes of your business. What can you do? What's a symbol that can embody your business? And if you keep it simple, like if you're an IT expert, and like I said, thinking of your business as a person, what would they be that symbol? Would it wear glasses? Does your business wear glasses? Does your business have pink hair? That just given that whole concept of just like creating an identity for your business and what makes it stand out. So the idea here was, this next slide was to give you guys some time to just think. And I don't know if the music's going to play or not. It may not, but either way, we're going to do about a minute. And although you may or may not have the workbook, but just thinking about this, even if it's just you're riding around in your car, whatever you're doing, just thinking about what symbol embodies your business identity. So I'm going to go ahead to the next slide. We'll give it about a minute just to that you contemplate and think about what you just saw, what I just talked to you about. And then Liz, just keep me on for about a minute and let me know when I can move on. So I'm going to go to the next slide just to give everyone some time to think about their business.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And just for all the attendees, I'm going to send a workbook right now to all of you. And the music's working. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's been about a minute now.
Okay, thank you. All right. So as you start thinking about your green shoes, whatever that may have been, the next step is thinking about how you stand out in the crowd, right? So the green shoes analysis, you got to go beyond availability, especially in today's market where everybody, you know, you have your toll-free numbers, you have your chat bots, and everyone thinks that's, you know, that's enough. But you have to understand that there's so much competition, and whatever you offer, somebody is doing it as well, right? You're not the only one doing whatever you're doing. So you have to kind of go a little beyond expectations, right? Because customers can find most products eventually, um, searching the internet, talking to people, referrals. Somebody, you know, people can find what you're selling eventually. That's not the case. The whole idea is how you removing, first off, the friction of finding you. So if you want people to find you, how easy is it to connect with you? You know, because there's a lot of business owners who don't, you know, they don't make themselves available. And then I understand if, you know, if you don't want people bombarding you, whatever you have, but there has to be a connection with your business, with your customers, with whoever you're selling to. They have to feel like you're available to them. And I know it's kind of annoying sometimes, especially as business owners, you don't want to feel like, oh, I don't want people to call me 24/7. But believe it or not, that's what people are expecting now in the market, that I can talk to you at any point, anytime when I want to. And just think about Amazon, you know, and all these different companies of the availability. Like, you know, you can go on Amazon 24/7 and shop. Now, getting a hold of Amazon is a different story. But ultimately, there's still, people feel like I use Amazon when I want and it's there when I need it. Same concept. So it's not necessarily saying you personally need to be available 24/7 taking calls. Like, that's obviously not the way to run a business. That's working in your business, not on your business. If you want to work on your business, you don't want to be available 24/7, right? You don't want taking these calls, but you want people to feel that I can connect with your business any point in time, anytime I want to. So just understand, you have to, in order to stand out, and that's what this picture is showcasing. If you really want to stand out, that's one of the first methods. And understanding, you have to figure out, how do I make my end use customer feel like I'm available to them when they need me. And that's different for every business, right? If you're a restaurant, obviously you have certain hours, but it's not necessarily, oh, I'm available to give you food, right? But maybe a way to talk to you, whether it's leaving, you know, feedback, opening, saying, hey, how was the food? I mean, just letting them know that, you know, making them feel at least that, okay, you're available to me if I need something. And everything is different. And obviously I can't get into the nitty gritty of every business, because every business is different, but just giving you that idea of going, the first step is just defining your green shoes, and then going beyond availability for whatever it is that you're providing is one of the first things we have to really, really think about as business owners, especially in today's market, and it's only going to get worse. All right, so next thing, and this is going to be workbook number 2. It's the question number 2 at the end of the workbook, which you'll get. But this is the idea that I was telling you about when I went and, you know, pressed the elevator button, went up to the 3rd floor. That calculated risk, right, to grab attention. So, and what I'm not trying to make you go think about your business to think about, oh, I got to go do something crazy to get people, you know, because nowadays, especially with social media, people are doing some of the craziest stuff to get attention, and it still doesn't work. Some of it does, some of it doesn't. So it doesn't mean you have to go out there and be so crazy just to get attention, because that's going to be fake, right? People are going to see right through it. But me getting on the elevator and pushing that button and going up to the 3rd floor didn't take a lot, right? It took a lot of courage, yeah, but it didn't take a lot of change for me to just push the button and go up to the 3rd floor, instead of going to the 2nd floor, which I normally go every day, right? And going to my desk and greeting everybody, doing what I do. I just took a risk and went to the 3rd floor. So same thing with your business. You have to think about that elevator button for your business. What's a bold move you can take? And this is obviously a hard question. This is something I'm thinking you're going to think about in a minute, but just start understanding and thinking about, what's a way you can grab attention. What's your elevator button? What's some way you can get in front of the people that you need to be in front of, in a way that they wouldn't expect, right? You know, I surprise these executives walking into their domain. It's their office. You know, most people don't walk into their offices like that. I did that. So I was meeting them in their own domain. And the only thing they could do was tell me to leave. That would be the only thing they could really do, right? And then none of them did that. They were just surprised that I even was there. So just understand. So that's what the next question is to think about, what's a bold move for you? What would be an elevator button for your business? And once again, we'll go into another minute just thinking about this kind of stuff. Obviously, like I said, it's a hard idea, hard question, but the idea is just to get you thinking about what's something that you could do that will make your business stand out, or do something that they wouldn't expect you to do. So once again, minute on the clock. Liz, let me know when we're done, and I'll go ahead and move forward. So we start the music.
And I did email the workbook to all the attendees.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's a minute.
All right, thank you. All right, so moving on, showing customer appreciation, that's a big thing. So one thing we have to understand as business owners, regardless of whatever you're doing, whatever you're selling, whatever product, service you're offering, customer loyalty is kind of non-existent nowadays because there's so many options for people, and no one really stays loyal to any one brand. People jump around from brand to brand. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's just what they feel, right? So at the end of the day, we have to understand customer appreciation is we still need to show that, because it's not guaranteed, and it's not something. It used to be like, oh, I provide this service and it's just expected that the customers are going to stick around because you're awesome, right? And that's awesome. That's great. We can think that way, but that's just not the way it is anymore. Regardless of what you think you're providing and how great your service is, good or bad, regardless, people aren't just sticking around for that. You have to make them feel some type of way, right? You have to that's why so many companies are going above and beyond to give people loyalty points, all this different stuff to keep them shopping at their stores, to keep them coming back in, because there's so many options, and the lack of loyalty now is no longer there. Regardless of how big your brand is, people don't care anymore. So brand names they're still there, don't get me wrong, but it's starting to shift a little bit. This trending and how people are shopping and what they're doing is less likely based on the brand, but more on how they connect with the brand and what that brand is doing to keep them as a customer. Right. And it's just a perfect example. I was getting ready to end a subscription with a company that I'm working with right now, that, I'm on a subscription model with them. And I was getting ready to leave, cancel my subscription. And right off the back, before, they said, why are you leaving? Blah, blah, blah. But then their last ditch effort was giving me like 15% off forever, right? That off of whatever it was, the price was. And that kept me, right? Because I was like, oh, well, it's saving me cash. Cool. Why not? So that's another idea of what they're doing. So because I'm not loyal, right? I'm getting ready to end my subscription because I just no longer need it. But so that last ditch effort kept me as a customer. Now I don't know how much longer I'll continue to do it, but it kept me from ending the subscription. So that's just another showcase of showing how that works. You have to find a way to keep the customers coming back, just because they're not going to come back if just because you think they're going to come back. So that thank you cards, everything I was doing was a way for people to remember me. It's the same concept. What are you doing to show customer appreciation to keep them coming back to you, right? So that's just another food for thought for you, as we go through this process and understanding your business and what you're doing to show customer appreciation. All right, so obviously the biggest thing everyone wants is differentiation. That's what we've been talking about. And one of the biggest things I'm trying to show people is that you don't have to go and revamp your entire business, change your entire model to stand out. That's not what I'm trying to showcase here, what I'm trying to make people do. So that's why even the picture says big changes, small steps. So you don't have to feel pressure to completely reinvent your wheel and do something that totally makes you, well, how am I going to be different? But just do something small that can refine and change your approach. Like Zappos, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Zappos, but it's e-commerce. They sell shoes basically. But Zappos, they could have focused on, selling the best shoes and all that stuff. But like I said, you can find shoes anywhere. So ultimately, if that's what they wanted to focus on, I'm sure they would have figured it out. But instead of the shoes, they focused on exceptional customer service, not just customer service, exceptional customer service. If you ever call Zappos for a problem, even if you're upset, when you finish talking with them, you feel good. And I don't know if any of you've had that experience with Zappos. I have, and I wasn't upset, but just the idea of calling them just makes your day better, just because they're trained in customer service so well that I buy shoes from Zappos not for the shoes but for the customer service. So if you think about it in that way, that's how they're being different. They're not, they're another e-commerce brand. You can buy shoes online all day every day, but why do you shop at Zappos? Is because of the customer service. So once again, small step, they took something very small, customer service, and they said, let's be the best at that instead of being the best at selling shoes. Right. So just think about that. What area of your business can be differentiated based on that? And it doesn't have to be major, right? It doesn't have to be something totally revamping your model. It's just something small that you can do today, tomorrow, then a week, 2 weeks, just to start slowly changing that perception and making yourself stand out. So once again, we'll start that minute clock, just getting you guys thinking about it. Write it down, whatever you're thinking of, but just the idea of what is something small that you can start doing in your business to really help you stand out. So here we go. I'm going to start the music.
Okay, that's a minute.
All right, thank you. All right. So moving on to another question, which is in the workbook number 3, authentic interaction. That's, how are you creating a two-way communication? That was that other concept I was telling you about, of being able to make people feel like they're connected to you. I can contact you 24/7, even if you're not available 24/7. It's just the idea of making your customers feel, if I have a problem, you're there for me. I can call you when I need you. You have to take that approach in today's market, because that's just what's expected. So once again, what's a way you can create that? And these aren't questions I'm expecting you to answer in a minute right off the back. It's just giving you the idea of just start thinking about that. And this giving you some ideas, community groups, Facebook pages, forums. There's all these different ways that you can make people feel connected to your brand, to your business, that makes them feel like I can talk to you like a human being, right? Thinking of your music, your business as a human. How can I talk to you? When are you available? I need to feel I can talk to you whenever I need you. So once again, we'll start the music. Just start thinking about this. This is a question in the workbook number 3, to start thinking about what strategies and what ways you can start getting your customers to feel, okay, I have a two-way communication. I can talk to you whenever I need to. So go ahead. We'll start another minute. Start with the music. Feel free to think about it.
Okay, that's better.
All right, thank you. All right, and now rounding out the green shoes method and the marketing strategy is, so obviously before you start creating social media or getting those, and some of you may already be on social media, that's fine. It's just more so thinking about what are you talking, what are you talking, what are you selling, how are you speaking to your audience. So the target audience, first and foremost, where your ideal customers spend their time. There's so many platforms now. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn. So you got to think about, where does your target audience spend their time, right? So that's one of the biggest things especially when it comes to social media, because you can do so much social media and you can do social media all day, every day. But if your customers don't spend time on whatever platform you're on, you're wasting time, money being on that platform. Just because there's so many different ways to connect. So one of the easiest ways is, once you identify your green shoes, right? Understanding where does that resonate the most, is going to help you understand what platforms, like we talked about, setting up 2 profiles, what have you. Before we start thinking about what profiles to set up, where does your audience hang out, right? And so one of the easiest ways to start really thinking about it, so an example here on the bottom left is your USP. And that's basically, I'm making this simple, right? USP is a fancy term, but it's basically your green shoots, right? And a quick example of that is, so let's say your company is called Acme Widgets. So Acme Widgets are the only widgets on the market with a lifetime self-cleaning guarantee. That is your USP statement. That's your green shoes, right? So basically, people who buy Acme Widgets, where are they mainly at? Are they on TikTok, on the Instagram, are they on LinkedIn? You have to understand where that target market, where that statement is going to resonate the most, because all your content, everything you're doing is based around that statement, based around your green shoes. So understanding that first, and then understanding the platform that you're on, you have to understand how that platform, how content is created. Like TikTok, if you're making, 10-minute videos, 5 minutes, that's not going to work. I mean, although yes, TikTok is extended and they're allowing you to make longer videos, but TikTok is based off of short attention spans. So if you're going to make content for TikTok, keep it short, keep it simple, get straight to the point. Show Acme Widgets doing their thing, lifetime self-cleaning. Just do something that really stands out for you on that platform in short form format. And I don't want to get too much into the weeds with social media, just because there's a lot to digest with that. So I'm just giving you some ideas, but it all starts with the target audience and understanding where they are and how to talk to them, right? And another way to think about what you're selling and how you're talking to your audience, it's called the PAR, which is problem, action, result. And one of the easiest ways to think about that, once again, with the Acme widget model, is, so the problem statement is, you got to connect people where they are. So are you tired of constantly cleaning your widgets, right? You got to make people feel that pain. Action, introducing Acme Widgets with a self-cleaning guarantee that's letting them know what it is, what it does right away. The result, enjoy a cleaner home with less effort. So PAR, problem, action, result. Think about how you're talking to your audience, whether that be in content format, whether that be in text format, doesn't matter. You have to showcase what you, just like the before and afters. You see a lot of that on social media, where if it's a product, they're showing what it's like before, showing like what it's after. That's what that is. It's called PAR. It's just showing the problem and the solution and showing how they get to that point, and you're doing it fast. And I'm in commercials. So commercials, we spend, the longest commercial I've ever been on was here in Albuquerque, called Visit Albuquerque. It was 8 days. And a lot of times you spend a lot of time on a commercial, but that commercial is 15, 30 seconds, a minute. So imagine all that time for 15 seconds, 30 seconds. So same concept. There's a lot that goes into a 30-second video. There's a lot that a company is displaying to you when you're scrolling through TikTok and you see something, or you see somebody talking about a product that's really big right now. So just understand there's an idea. It's not just people posting content. Now, you can do that all day, every day if you want, but if you don't have an actual strategy behind what you're posting and a message behind what you're posting, you're going to waste a lot of time, a lot of money. That's why people go, social media doesn't work, because they're not using it the right way. So that's just giving you an idea of how that works. So that leads into sustainable messaging, right? So authenticity, transparency, and focus on value. So you got to be real. Nowadays, people are really, really big on catching companies talking nonsense, right? So just understand, be authentic with your message, be transparent. Don't sell people, something you can't do. Just focus on what you're good at. And then your promo strategies and your channels, right? There's digital marketing, there's social media, there's influencer partnerships. That's big right now, where they get what's called UGR, user generated, or UGC, user generated content. That's when you get somebody who has decent following and they talk about your product like, oh, I use this phone, just that kind of concept. So there's a lot of different ways. And like I said, there's so much in the social media realm that I didn't want to dig too much into that. But the idea is just to showcase all the stuff you're seeing on social media. This is what they're using. It's just using it in different ways. And that's just the meat and potatoes of everything. So, and then you, at the end of the day, you still have to measure goals, traffic, sales, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. You got to measure that. And nowadays with AI, it used to be 60, 90 days. A company will tell you, or a marketing company will say, hey, we can get your results in like 90 days or 6 months. And a lot of times that was just to keep you spending money so they can, run your ads. Now, I mean, you can probably see results in as little as 60 days now with AI. But the thing is, a true marketing strategy is not just content, right? A true marketing strategy is how you're showcasing your brand. And that's ongoing. That never stops. And, at bare minimum, you got to give it at least 90 days, a strategy that you're implementing to start seeing if it's working, and then start tweaking it as you go along, right? And everything else, all this other stuff fits into your marketing strategy. But just posting on social media is not a marketing strategy, right? That's just part of it. So you have to understand the overarching goal is your strategy, and all the stuff in between is how you're implementing it, which is what we'll talk about in part 2. But this was just to give you some groundwork, help you understand the workbook, help you understand how to start positioning your branding, your story, and how to start selling yourself in social media. So basically, if you have any questions, first and foremost, start off with the workbook. Look through that. It's about 15 pages, and the last page is that workbook. And with the questions, obviously, we'll have this recording for you to review and come back to and look at all the different things. But this is where it starts. Like, if you're not doing this, you got to have somebody in your team doing this. Either way, every marketing person understands there's a strategy behind it, and there's different avenues for those to implement those strategies. Different people who come on, different professionals, but understand you got to have a strategy. A big, large company, Amazon, all these big guys, they have marketing strategies. They don't just post. They're not just blindly, posting stuff on social media. So just understand that this is part of that process, and either you doing it or somebody else is doing it in your company. But either way, that's what this was for, and what the workbook is supposed to help you create just a template to start understanding it. And I broke it down the best way I could using something I've implemented, the green shoes method, and what I'm doing. So that's the best way I could do it for you. You can talk to different consultants. You can talk to different people who have all these fancy names and workbooks and stuff for you to follow. But this was just an easy, something I can do that hopefully made it simple and helped you understand, at the end of the day, you're trying to identify your green shoes. So with that, that is the end of my part 1 presentation. I thank you guys for joining me today. Obviously, the floor is open for any feedback or any questions you may have, but that is it for me. Thank you for joining, and looking forward to sharing the part 2 with you. So thank you for your time, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Obviously, you spent a lot of time thinking about all of these concepts, in the workbook. I'm sure it was helpful. I'll open up for like a minute. I know we're already at time, but in case people have any questions, feel free to add it on the chat. Again, if you want to be working with Emmanuel, Liz, and the team more closely to think about your social media strategy, please reach out to MBDA, anyone in our team, and we'll make sure to connect you and you have, you know, their services for free. So please reach out. Thank you again, Emmanuel. I don't see any questions. I will, after this, send all the participants and registered your presentation, and of course, the recording of this that will be on YouTube. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing everyone again next week, Tuesday at
All
10
right.
a.m.
All right, everyone, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.